Yes, indeed, time for In Transit. And it's our pleasure to welcome Marie-Sophie L'Heureux onto the program for our In Transit segment today. The Montrealer took it upon herself to help victims of conjugal violence, and she used her bike, which is her form of therapy, to help raise money for SOS Conjugale. Let's go to Marie-Sophie on the line now. Hi, Marie-Sophie. Welcome to the show.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much.
So you biked 1,200 kilometers from
I did.
Montreal to the Gaspé.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the trip. What made you do this trip? I know it was called Le Grand Départ. How did it come about?
Yeah. Well, actually, this trip was about first like just going to Gaspé because I'm totally in love with the landscape of Gaspésie and Bas Saint Laurent, but it was also a form of ritual for myself for solving, giving the last touch to go full circle with the past, the past and traumas. And actually, I've decided, like I was telling myself, like if I'm to bike 1,200 kilometers, why not give back to those who have already helped me?
And you certainly did. You raised, how much was it? $54,000?
The goal is 60,000, and we are so far at over than $56,000 so far.
So, Marie-Sophie, on this program, we speak to people all the time that have gone out and done something good to raise money for a cause they care about. There's always, a connection there. When you hear about someone that does something like this, there's a story behind that. So, would you tell our listeners about why this cause, domestic violence, conjugal violence, is important to you?
Well, it is important to me first because, well, this is something, I'll say it bluntly, but I've lived it. I lived domestic violence, and I thrived, and I especially thrived in the last days when I was at the arrival. But I want also to a bit awake consciences about domestic violence, about the reality of it, and deconstructing the stereotypes around it, and especially this year, since it came up more in the media that there were women that were killed, the 14 women so far that were killed in 2021 by their ex-boyfriend or ex-husband or husband or boyfriend, and which is unacceptable. But I feel that the general opinion in the public is becoming a bit more aware of the reality of it, and less considering this as passionate murder or love murder. It's more than that, and I really wanted to make people more aware of what is and what is not domestic violence.
We're with Marie-Sophie L'Heureux. She's well on her way to her goal of raising $60,000 for SOS Violence Conjugale, doing it with that bike trip of 1,200 kilometers from Montreal to the Gaspé. Marie-Sophie, so I've read that you were introduced to cycling by an abusive ex-partner, and you would think a lot of people, if they got introduced to something by an abusive ex, they would do the opposite. They'd be like, "I'm going to drive a car for the rest of my life." That you know what I mean? Like this to me, so tell me about why you find this to actually be the opposite, actually a form of therapy and healing for you.
Well, because I was told from the get-go that I would not be good in bike ever, and I would, because I'm honestly not a sports person at the basis. I'm more of an artist, more intellectual woman. And I was told from the get-go, like, we're going to introduce you to bike, but you're really not good. Like, yeah, it's really hard. You should leave that. So I'm thriving with the opposite, like showing that, like, to myself, not him whatsoever, because I think he doesn't have a clue of what's going on right now. But to myself that, oh, you think I'm like that? Like, I'm going to prove to myself that I'm better than this, and I'm going to do it. Like, I'm going to do the total opposite. And yesterday, actually, I was coming back from Gaspé by car, and I was quite surprised. Like, even myself, I don't compute well the fact that I've ride the distance. Like, I went the distance. Like, I was coming back, and I was like, this? Like, are we talking about me doing it? Like, is it me who really did that? I'm not sure.
Well, so let's talk about the actual trip here. In transit is all about getting from point A to point B. So let's talk about that trip,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, sure.
Tell our listeners about how long it took, the beauty of the trip, and you just said it that you're not someone who is a classic athlete, let's say, but
Yeah.
you could probably encourage a lot of people to do a trip, maybe not to the
Yeah.
Gaspé, but a trip like this. So tell our listeners
Oh,
more on that.
yeah, for sure. Well, the trip itself lasts 13 days, in which I've cycled 11 days. So I took a pause after 5 rides, and I took another pause after another 5 rides, and then the 11th ride was the final. And it's an average of between 60 and 120 kilometers per day. But I would say it's more often than not, it's around 100 kilometers per day. I was quite lucky because the weather was quite generous with me. It was not too warm. It was not too hot. The wind was on my back. But I think it's because of the GoFundMe, money that is increasing, that I've got such a good wind on my back.
Yeah.
But it went well. I had people with me, cycling with me at some moments. And I've realized something, that whether you are a sports person or not, or quite the athlete or not, and my trip happened during the Olympic Games of Tokyo. And I can say that I went through my own Olympic Games myself, because at my own rhythm, at my own pace. And I think that to convince people to move on and to move in any shape or form, you just have to respect your own rhythm. But anything is possible if you go and listen to yourself and your own limitations. And this is what I did during the trip. I was quite tired every morning. It was hard sometimes because there were some hills. There were some good hills to climb. But if you take it one pedal stroke by one pedal stroke, you're going to get to the end, and that's quite surprising even to myself.
What was the most beautiful view during that 2-week journey?
Oh wow, there were there were so many, but for many reasons, not only the landscapes, but the signification and the symbolic. I definitely have to say that it's the view from the National Forillon Park in Gaspé, because you start to see the ocean, and the sky was quite impressive at that moment. So, but the Baie des Chaleurs region was beautiful. The Bic region was beautiful. There were so many nice places. All the Metapedia Valley was impressive as well. But the end on the National Forillon Park was quite impressive.
Marie-Sophie, how do our listeners help you get to the 60 grand? You're almost there. How do we get you across that finish line?
Yeah. Well, the GoFundMe is called Grand Départ. So if you look for it on GoFundMe, you may find it. It's you're gonna see the sign of the end of the world, the end of the world sign, the land end sign, and this is the GoFundMe. And I really hope that by the end of the week, by the end of the interviews I'm having these days, that we'll get to the 60K.
Well, Marie-Sophie, I did that search just like you said, GoFundMe for Grand Départ, and I found it right away. And listen, you're a great talker. You can come back on the show anytime to talk about whatever you want. You're a fantastic interview.
Well, that will be with great pleasure. I used to be a journalist, so it's good.
Oh, geez. Now it all comes together. Marie-Sophie L'Heureux, bike to raise money for SOS Violence Conjugale, and you can support that cause going to GoFundMe and searching for Grand Départ. Thanks so much, Marie-Sophie. Take care.
Thank you so much for your time.